everyone! Thank you so much for joining me today. This video is a yearly makeup empties video. I'm going to be showing you all the makeup that I finished in 2019. I do have a 2018 version of this video. I'll have that linked in the description box and in the cards. I think I used up 54 items this year, and I don't have the exact dollar amount, but I will have it listed right here. I do want to point out ahead of time that a lot of these products I didn't use up in an entire year. Most of them were at least somewhat used before the 2019 year started. For example, I think I have like 5 setting sprays in here. There's no way I used up 5 whole setting sprays in 1 year, especially since I only used up 1 last year. So now I'm going to lay everything out into categories and talk about each product individually and whether or not I would repurchase it. Okay, so this is everything all laid out. Wow. I think I'm gonna start over here and work my way over. So this is my one highlighter. I only used up 1 highlighter this year. This is a mini Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector, and this is in the shade Moonstone. And I thought that this was really pretty. It was also really easy to repress, and I did get everything out of there, which was nice. I liked the packaging of this little mini. I thought it was a really pretty formula. It's not like my favorite highlighter ever, so it's not something I plan on repurchasing, but I still think it's a really nice highlighter. I do have another Becca highlighter in the full size in the Berlin Girl Glow, and I really like that one. Over here I have lip products. I have 2 of the NYX #thisiseverything lip loving balms. These are my favorite. I love them. I've already repurchased a couple more from the NYX website during their Black Friday sale, so I think I got them for like $3.50. And I did talk about how many uses it took to finish these, and I think the price per use is very, very reasonable, very good value for what you get. And it's also one of my favorite lip balms, so it's just like the icing on top of the cake. I have 2 Stila mini liquid lipsticks, very different in color. I have Viola, which is a really bright, cool toned purple. I liked this color, but I don't think it's something that I would buy again. It's maybe just a little bit too cool toned for my liking. I did repurchase the shade Coma, which is a little bit deeper, and I do have another purple lipstick in the shade Madison from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I have a couple actually, both from Anastasia and Stila, and I really like those, so I don't feel like I need to run out and grab a full size of this shade. This one, however, is the shade Perla, and this is a really pretty cool tone nude. One of my favorite cool tone nudes ever. I love pairing this with more colorful looks. I think it's very flattering on me, and I have already repurchased it. I was able to get this and 2 other minis in a little set on sale recently, so I have another mini of this. I have a lip primer here from Ulta, and this is an exact dupe for the MAC lip primer, and this is okay. I had to make myself remember to use it. It smells really good, kind of like a vanilla scent, but it doesn't taste like anything, and I think it's a good product, but it's just not something I think to reach for, and it's not a necessity, so I will not be repurchasing. But if you do want something like this, I recommend it. It's like 1/3 of the price of the MAC one. This is a lip oil here from Ulta. This was a birthday present, and it's the cranberry and pomegranate one. It has slight light red color, but it didn't deposit any color on your lips, and I actually like this a lot. I didn't think I would like a lip oil, but I actually do. If I'm in the market for another one, I would try another one of these, but once again, just not like a necessity. I have 2 tinted lip balms. The first one is from IT Cosmetics. It's the Je ne sais quoi Lip Vitality Flush. I liked this so much that I dug it out. I think I used up one of these last year as well. I love the packaging. I love the product. I did talk about this in a How Long Does It Take to Use Up makeup series. I think I did this, the lip oil, and the lip balm. If I'm not mistaken, I think I did all 3 of those. And I did really like it. I have since tried another tinted lip balm that I like even more for a fraction of the price. These are not exact dupes, but I do like the Catrice one a little bit better. This is the Volumizing Lip Balm. This is in the shade Beautiful Lips. This one leaves kind of like a milky, lightened effect on my lips, and I really like it. It has a little bit of a minty feeling, but it's not drying, and it doesn't taste disgusting, which I don't like in lip products. And this is like $5. really big fan, and I have already repurchased. They have a couple other shades too. One of them is like shimmery though, so don't buy that one. Buy this one and I think the deeper one. It's a little bit more of a deeper nude. Super pretty. Although this isn't available on the Ulta website, I don't think anymore, so I'm gonna have to find another place to get it. Over here I have two bronzers. This is the Laura Geller Sunrise Fair Bronzer. This was really pretty. I did enjoy using it, but I do have other bronzers that I prefer over it, so it's not something I would buy again, but it was really nice to use. And then this one was a Wet n Wild duo. It had a bronzer on one side and then a yellow setting powder on the other side. The bronzer was okay, even though it was very deep in the pan, it wasn't too deep for my skin. And the yellow side, once again, was okay. Wasn't super yellow on my skin, super soft, super buttery. But once I hit pan, I didn't want to travel with it anymore because I was worried that it would just shatter while I was traveling. Some people have told me that these don't repress very well, so once I hit enough pan that it was getting difficult to use the product around the edges, I just took both of them and crumbled them into separate containers and just used them as loose powders until they were gone. And this was really nice, but it's not something I would buy again. I have two blushes here. I don't think I've ever used up a blush before this, if I'm not mistaken. I think I used up a liquid blush from Stila forever ago, but I don't think I've ever used up a full powder blush like this. And this one isn't a full size, it's a mini from Tarte. I had hit pan on both of these before the year started, I believe, or maybe I hit pan on the Tarte one right at the beginning of the year. So it's not like these were brand new and I used them up, but I did use these pretty much exclusively for a majority of the year to finish them. This is the mini blush in the shade Party, and this was a Sephora gift forever ago. I hit pan on it, repressed it, and then finished it. This is a really pretty nude blush. I really enjoyed it. I think the formula is a little bit different from the full size. I had a full size of Exposed and it dried up very quickly and I couldn't get any product to pick up on my brush and it just didn't last as long as this. This one I think is a little bit more powdery. I thought this was pretty. I would consider buying a full size of this or another mini size if they have that available. This was a really pretty shade. And then I have the Baby Love blush from Too Faced. This was really pretty. I like the packaging. I didn't love that the gold lettering came off like almost immediately. That wasn't my favorite. But I loved this color. It was a really nice nude color, not too dissimilar from the Tarte Party shade. But yeah, I thought this was pretty. I think that they still might have these on the Too Faced website, but I do have some other nude blushes that I like to use, so I don't think I need to run out and purchase either of these right away, but I do think these are really pretty and I do recommend trying them if you have your eyes on them. Let's move back over to this corner. These are all of my powder foundations. I do have some sample packets here from Meow Cosmetics. I bought a bunch of their shades of their light coverage powder foundation, the ones with the olive undertones, and I really liked all of them because they were more light coverage. They all kind of worked for me. And so what I did is I ended up mixing all of them together in a little container and just using it that way, and I really loved it. I am on the market for another powder foundation. I do really like using powder foundation pretty regularly, especially when I'm in a rush in the morning. It seems to be a lot faster for me because I don't necessarily have to set it and I can kind of just buff it in with a brush and then get the coverage that I want. So I am in the market for another one. I might purchase one from this instead of buying the super light coverage version. I might buy the like medium coverage version, and I might just grab whatever shade is in the middle of these five because they all seem to match me pretty well, and I did like that it had an olive undertone. I have two pressed powder foundations. The first one is from it Cosmetics and I'm in the shade Fair. I think I used up one of these last year as well, and I did like it, but it doesn't repress well. It changed the formula and it made it like really hard and kind of cakey looking. I don't love how this looks on my nose. It really accentuates my blackheads and the pores on my nose, so I would use it on the outer portion and then use the Tarte one on the T-zone on my face. It's a little bit thinner and it's not as cakey looking, and I can build it up to get better coverage without it being too heavy. So I don't think I would buy this again. This isn't my favorite anymore. I used to really love it, but that's just not really the look I'm going for. The Tarte one as well, I did like it. This is like 20 something dollars though, so I don't feel like it's worth it to me. If I'm gonna buy another pressed powder foundation, knowing how quickly I go through them, I'm gonna go for something a little bit more affordable. And the last one I have is a loose powder from Tarte. This is the Amazonian Clay Full Coverage Airbrush Foundation. This is the shade Fair Honey, Fair Skin with Peach Undertones. And I still felt like this matched my skin pretty well. I did take out the mesh netting so that I could get everything I could out of it. Once again, like 20 something dollars, so not something I'm gonna buy again, but I did really like how this looked on my skin. I have a couple more transparent powders or ones that didn't provide a lot of coverage or color. I have one loose and then I have 3 pressed. This loose one is from Besame and it is the Brightening Vanilla Rose Powder. This had a slightly pink undertone, but I didn't notice that on my skin at all. I used it to set my under eyes. I love this. I have a full size of the purple version in my collection currently, and I really do think that this is a nice product. They usually have really good coupon codes where you can get a full size for like $9, so be on the lookout for that. There might be a coupon code like that out right now. I have already repurchased. I think that's a good product. And I would like to try some more things from Besame. I'm just not really sure what's good and what's not. I have another IT Cosmetics powder. This is the Bye Bye Pores Airbrush Silk Pressed Finishing Powder. And this one I really liked at first and then I didn't like it after a while. I feel like I get like that with IT Cosmetics products. I'm not really sure why. This actually repressed surprisingly well. I didn't think that it would, but it really did. It didn't change the formula at all. This will leave little white specks in your pores if you use it to set. Where you have larger pores, it's not really great for oil control. It's not great for touch-ups. I use this to like set my, I think I used it to set my under eyes a couple times. That was a little bit dry looking, so I just kind of used it to clean up, you know, under my contour, on my cheeks, or use it to like set my eyeshadow, primer, or something like that. I don't really remember how exactly I used it up, but it was not the easiest thing to do, and it's not something I would buy again. This one is from Hourglass and it's the Diffused Light Powder. I did like this. It's a nice finishing powder. It does look really nice and natural on your skin. It gives you a really natural sheen. It had a slightly yellow undertone, but it didn't pull any weird undertones on my skin. Not something you use like as a setting powder. I would use this to set my under eyes pretty exclusively, and I would use it sometimes as a finishing powder, but I don't really use finishing powders. I just use a setting powder on top of my foundation under my base products. So not really something that's necessary for me, especially since it's like 40 something dollars. I don't recommend it. If I'm gonna buy any Hourglass products, it'll be either one of the blushes or the dim light powder, which I use as a bronzer. I'm not sure if I would be interested in trying any of their bronzers. I know some of them have like glittery particles in them and some don't, and I don't know which ones are which, so not really sure if I would purchase a ton of Hourglass products in the future, but this was really nice to use up. And I have a Wet n Wild bronzer here. This is in the shade Reserve Your Cabana. It was a lighter colored shade. It was more of like a highlighter on my skin, a light kind of yellowy beige color. And I would use this to set my eyeshadow primer. I would use it as a setting powder, and I would use it sometimes to set my under eyes. At first I thought it was good for my under eyes, but once I really looked up close, like in the car mirror and stuff, I did kind of see some shimmery particles on my under eyes, and I didn't love that. This isn't something I would buy again, but I am glad to have used it up. I only have one little foundation here. This is one of my favorite foundations. This is the Smashbox 15 Hour Wear Hydrating Foundation, and I'm in the shade 1.05. This has a nice olive undertone. Big fan, already purchased, and I'm already making my way through another bottle. I have 5 setting sprays here. Like I said, I do not think I used up all of these within the course of the year. I'm sure the majority of these were half empty or at least very heavily used by the time I got to them this year. This one from Pure, this is the Miracle Mist. They don't sell this size for the price anymore. I used to get like a big bottle, the 8-ounce bottle for $19. Now it's a 4-ounce bottle for $19. So just out of principle, I'm not buying it again. It does smell very citrusy. It's a yellow color, but it doesn't do anything to make your face yellow. And I have another bottle of this to use up, but once I use up that one, I won't buy again. This one is from e.l.f. It's the Makeup Fixer. This is a red color, so if you have trouble with red dyes in your makeup, do not buy this. I wouldn't recommend it anyway. It's very heavily scented, very perfumey, and I don't really think it does a lot for my skin. It does take down the powdery look, but most sprays do that, so it's not like special, and I would not buy that again. The price is pretty decent though. I think it's like $16 for 8 ounces. I have an Urban Decay All Nighter, one of my favorites. I've gone through several bottles of this. Fantastic. I don't know if I have another one in my collection right now. I'm using up the Scandinavia Bridal Spray, which I think is very comparable. I don't think I'm going to buy any more. I think the next time I need another setting spray, I'll probably wait until a Scandinavia sale and buy a big 8-ounce bottle of the bridal spray. I think they're very comparable. They are made by the same company, but these are still really good, and if you can get one of the duos with a coupon or something, I think that's a really great price. This one here I did not use as a setting spray. I actually used it kind of like a primer spray, and this is the Too Faced 3-in-1 Hangover Primer Mist. This one I would use in conjunction with a moisturizer to kind of turn it into a priming moisturizer. And as much as I really loved this, I don't know if it's worth the money. I don't know how much of a difference it made to my makeup. So it's one of those things where I do enjoy it and I would like to buy it again, especially in the duo with the Hangover Primer. You can get both of these in a duo for a really good deal. I know in my head it's probably just like a placebo effect where I think it's making a difference, but it probably isn't. So I don't know, I'm gonna hold off for a while. If I end up really missing it, then I'll buy another duo, but in the meantime, I'm just gonna try to use other facial sprays or even just like water in a bottle and see if that does the same thing. This one from Milani, the Make It Last. This one kind of made me a little bit greasy throughout the day, maybe just because it doesn't do anything for oil control. This has a very heavy perfumed scent, which I'm not a fan of, but the mist on this is divine. If anyone knows how to get this top part off so I can put other stuff in here, I would love to know. I haven't been able to find a way yet. The mist on this is so nice, so let me know if you have a way to reuse this. I have two eyeshadow primers here. This is the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer. I just finished this like a week ago. It took me forever. I think it's a good product. I'm working on some other eyeshadow primers in my collection, and given the amount of uses I got out of it, considering the price, I'm not 100% sure if it's the best value for my money, but I do think it's good. And I think if you have one of these in your collection and you've forgotten about it, you should bring it back out and give it some love because it's a good product. And this one from Urban Decay was a priming pencil, and this one I used up really fast because it's a sharpenable product. I feel like it was not worth the money at all. It's like $18 for that, and it barely lasted me a couple months. And I just didn't really feel like it made that big of a difference to my eyeshadow, so it's not something I would buy again. I have 3 primers here, which is surprising. I think the Becca one was like halfway empty by the time I got to it this year. The Smashbox Primerizer and the Becca First Light Priming Filter, these ones are kind of like moisturizing primers. The Becca one has a purple tint, and I think depending on your skin tone, it'll show up or it won't. On my skin tone, it didn't show up at all. These I feel like are kind of unnecessary to my makeup routine because if I want to be moisturized, I don't need to use a moisturizing primer. I can just use a good moisturizer. So not something I would buy again. This one from Cover FX I really wouldn't buy again. This one I don't think did anything for oil control. I don't think it's a good value for your money. I didn't get a lot of uses out of it considering what it costs full price. I think all 3 of these I got for like half off, so I didn't pay full price for any of these. But they are not primers that I would buy again. I don't really have any primers that I think are amazing that I need to use. So I think primers just aren't my thing. Over here I have mascaras, and I'm very surprised to have used up 8. That seems like a lot, especially this Hourglass one, because I used it for like 4 months. So what was I doing with the other 8 months of the year that I needed to use up 7? This one from Flower I did not like. I don't like the spiky wand. I don't like the formula. It's really wet. Not a fan. I do like the Hourglass Lash Extension Mascara. I think this is really nice. I would buy again. Same with the Lash Princess from Essence. I have a mini and a full size of the Hourglass Caution Extreme Mascara, and as much as I like this formula and I like the brush and everything, this dries out so fast, so I don't think it's worth the money at all. I'm not crazy about the Mad Lash Mascara from the Balm. I like the brush. It is a like really hard plastic bristly brush, and I think it was okay, but it didn't like wow me, and I don't really think it did a lot for volume. And the Kush Mascara, once again, I did not like at all. The brush is humongous, so I feel like I made a mess every time I wore it. And it really didn't do a lot for volume. It might have done a little bit for lengthening, but it just wasn't that great. Over here I have 2 brow products. If you watched any of my project pans or anything this year, you know I've been working a lot on the taupe brow pomade from Anastasia Beverly Hills. So I haven't gone through a lot of other brow products. I have the Essence Make Me Brow Gel and the LA Girl Shady Slim Brow Pencil in the shade Auburn. The brow pencil was a surprise. I actually just used this up earlier this week, and I started using it again because I recently dyed my hair red, and so I wanted a more red brow pencil to put in my brows. And this one, if you use a really light hand, it just adds like kind of a strawberry blonde effect to your brows, but if you use a heavier hand, you can go quite deep red. So I think that's really nice. Very warm toned product and really nice to use. I did not repurchase this one because it's not available on the Ulta website anymore, so I purchased, I think, maybe one from ColourPop and one from NYX. But actually, while I wait for this to come in the mail, I've been using 2 shades from the Modern Renaissance palette to put in my brows, and that's working pretty fine for me too. So I don't know if I'll buy any brow pencils in the future because I think either the pomade or a mixture of different eyeshadows are good enough for me, depending on what color my hair is. The Essence one as well, I did like it. I'm in the shade Brownie Brows. This is a fiber gel, so it deposits little fibers and a little bit of color to your brows. As much as I like it, I don't really feel like that's something that I need in my makeup routine. And I do have another one of those that I'll use until it's gone, but it's not really something that I feel like I need to buy again. I have 5 eyeliner products. I have one liquid liner pen from NYX. This is the Epic Ink Liner, and this was nice. I usually buy a new one every year. This was good. It doesn't dry out really fast. It's pigmented. I like the size of the tip. It works well to do like little mini wings. It is nice, and it's something I've already repurchased. And I have 4 pencils. 2 of them I didn't get a chance to use up all the way. It's these 2 right here. The Marc Jacobs Blacker Highliner. This one, I rolled it up a little bit too high when I used it and it ended up breaking off. I just wasn't being more careful. That's the risk you run with these types of eyeliner pencils that are push-up instead of sharpenable. I do want to buy this again. This is one of the few eyeliners I've used that don't transfer to my lower lash line when I use them to tightline with. So I do want to buy some more of these once I go through some other pencils in my collection. This one from Milani is the Supreme Kohl Kajal liner in the shade Black is Black. And this one also broke off once I got to a certain point. There was like maybe half a centimeter of product left and it broke off, which was upsetting. I have another one of these that I am in the process of finishing. I don't know if I would buy it again because even though it is very pigmented and blendable and soft, it is very much a true Kohl Kajal liner. I feel like it transfers a little bit, and so I prefer the Marc Jacobs one over this. This is another Milani liner. This is the Stay Put waterproof one in Hooked on Espresso. It looks like there's a little bit of product left in there, but the middle inside part of it has like a plastic rod shooting through it, so it's very uncomfortable to use. This was good. Once again, I don't like it as much as the Marc Jacobs one, so I will not be repurchasing. And the last one is from, I think, Jordana. I can't remember what it says on. No, this is from LA Girl. And this is, I don't remember what the shade, but it was like a dark brown shade. And I actually really like this. This was surprisingly good. Can transfer to the lower lash line if you don't let it like adequately dry when you use it to tight line. Once again, I like the Marc Jacobs one better, so I will continue to repurchase that one. And lastly, I have concealers here. The LA Girl one I liked. I've used up another one of these in the past, and I did enjoy it, but it's not something I would buy again. I have other concealers that I prefer. The Jouer one, I was in the shade Creme Cafe, and I did take the stopper out so I could get everything out. And I did like that this was more full coverage. It had a golden undertone, so it matched my undertones pretty well. And this does have full coverage, but with that, it is a little bit more heavy. So it's not my favorite, and it's just not something that I think is a good value for my money, so I'm not going to buy it again. And then this one is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer in the shade C7. This one I also took the stopper out of so I could get everything. And this one I have repurchased. I think it's a lovely formula. I like that they have a large shade range, and you can actually buy a super size of these concealers. This is 0.14 ounces. I think the super size is like 0.45 ounces. So you get a ton more product for just a couple dollars more. I think that's a great value, especially if you're the type of person who uses concealer as foundation sometimes, or if you just like to use it to spot conceal and on your under eyes, so you go through it a little bit more quickly. I think that's a great value. So I have already repurchased this one in the super size. I have 2 color correctors. This one from Bare Minerals, I'm in the shade Light 1, and I did like this, but I feel like I went through it very quickly, and I prefer the NYX Dark Circle Concealer formula. So I used it up and I won't be buying it again. The NYX Dark Circle Concealer, I'm in the shade Light. This is one of my favorite color correctors I've ever tried, and I already have another one in my collection that I'm using currently, so it's something I would definitely buy again. Whew, and that is everything. I'm like out of breath talking about all these products. This video is going to be like 30 minutes long. I hope that's okay. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your year. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!